Lauren, and this is the Cute Cook in the Kitchen. Today we are going to make empanadas. Now listen, I'm not new to this empanada craze. My brothers and I grew up on empanadas. When we were little, we were fortunate enough to have 3 grandmothers, 2 biological and 1 surrogate, who happened to be a 4'9" Colombian powerhouse. She taught us how to speak Spanish, and she taught us how to make all of our favorite Latin American foods. We called her Lita, which is short for abuelita, meaning little grandmother. Today, we're going to make Lita's empanadas. Well, my variation on them anyway. So the first thing you're going to need is about 1 pound of ground beef that you're going to brown with cilantro, with adobo, with onion chopped finely, and with some pepper. Now, if you want to get fancy, you can use all 3 color peppers, red, yellow, green, or 4 colors, orange. But I found that they're a little expensive midwinter, so I just bought the little seasoning blend that they have in the freezer and chopped that up and put it in with the meat too. You're also going to chop into small chunks 1 large white potato, which you will boil. Once the potato has come to a boil and your meat is browned, you're going to mix them together, and that's what I have here, my mixed up empanada filling. Colombian empanadas, which are the type Lita made, traditionally are made with a cornmeal shell, which is mixed with water, a little bit of sugar, a little bit of salt, to give a crispy outside and a masa-like inside that surrounds the filling. When I lived in Atlanta, I had trouble finding Lita's standard, which was pan harina, to cook with, so instead I had to come up with my own variation. I found that using pie crusts worked really, really well, so that's what we're going to do today. So you're going to need 2 pre-made pie crusts that you can just get in the dairy section of the grocery store. And what we're going to do is we're going to open these up, roll them out, and we're going to cut them into discs. Now, typically when I make these for like a cocktail party or a dinner party or something like that, I like to have finger foods, so I use a glass or something small to cut them into the small discs. Today I'm just using this. Whatever you have, if you have a biscuit cutter, you can use that. Doesn't matter, whatever size it is you want to make, you can make. And you're just going to cut them like that. So I was explaining that I came up with different variations of empanadas. Some of the other ones that I've made chicken fajita empanadas, I've made General Tso's empanadas, because essentially an empanada is just basically a Spanish Hot Pocket. You can put whatever you want in it. It makes some great portable meal. It's a great street food. You can put them in the freezer. They have a long freezer life. You can take them for lunch to reheat. So now that I've got my discs ready, I'm going to spray a little bit of nonstick cooking spray on my cookie sheets, because like I said, I am going to bake these empanadas instead of frying them. But we are going to also make some dessert ones in a little bit too. So those will be the fried ones that we're going to make. So you're going to basically take your shell, you need a little bit of water, and a fork. So you take your shell, take about a tablespoon of your filling, place it on 1/2 of the shell, dip your finger in the water, go along the edges of your shell. You can do it before you put the filling on. That might have been the better way for me to do it. And then you're going to press it shut. And then to make sure that it stays shut, you're going to crinkle the edges with your fork. Pretty much the same concept as if you were making a pie and you were putting it in the pie pan and you just wanted to give the edges a little fanciness. A little fancy. Oh, speaking of fancy, did you check out my new apron? Yes, the A-Team apron, courtesy of Miss Fancies. If you would like to order one for yourself, it's part of the Cute Cook collection. Just look up on the web page, which is missfancies.com. So hey, Fancy, thanks for yet another delightful apron from my childhood. Well, cartoons of my childhood anyway. So I'm gonna do this the right way this time. Moisten the edges, put a little tablespoon in. Now, if you don't like to eat beef and you still want to eat empanadas, you can substitute the ground beef with ground turkey. Or if you're watching your weight a little bit, which everyone seems to be doing around this time of year, getting ready for bikini season, you can leave the potatoes out completely and you can add vegetables to it or something else. I found empanadas are also a good way, parents, to try and fool tricky or fussy eaters into eating something they might not want to eat. So you put in whatever you want in your filling. Perhaps maybe you want to dice up some vegetables, mix it in with the meat. And anytime you add cheese to something, a child will love it. So that's just a little trick, just a little tip from the Cute Cook. All right, so now I've finished crimping up the edges of my empanadas and they're ready to go in the oven. I'm gonna give them a little bit of an egg wash because I want them to be a nice flaky and golden brown. I found a website that taught me how to get the perfect egg wash depending on what it is you want. If you want a matte color, if you want it shiny, if you want a golden color, if you want more of a brown. And it helped me out a lot because growing up I didn't do a whole lot of baking which required egg washes, so this helped me out. So I'm going to use 1 egg white. Ooh. 1 egg white and about a teaspoon of water. Mix it together nicely. And I'm going to use a chip brush. Now, I have pastry brushes that I use sometimes also, but I wanted to give you guys this little tip. At the hardware store, at Home Depot, at Lowe's, whatever, if you don't have a pastry brush, or if you see pastry brushes and they cost a whole lot of money, just go get yourself a chip brush. I think this 1-inch chip brush is probably like 49 cents or something like that, and it works just the same, especially if you're doing a lot of stuff where the brush is going to get coated and you want to be able, they're hard to clean a lot of times. So if you buy yourself a couple chip brushes, you can use them one-offs for barbecues or whatever else, toss them when you're done. So the chip brush is a cook's friend for things like this. Okay, so I'm just going to soak my brush in a little bit, tap it off, and I'm going to baste them. Now you don't want to put too much on because this is part egg, and you don't want it to get like a little omelette-y, egg white scrambly stuff on the edge of your empanadas. So now that I got this nice even coat on, my oven has already been preheated to 400 degrees. And I'm going to put these in and let them bake until they are golden brown, because you're basically just cooking the pie crust at this point since your empanada filling is already done. I'll wash my hands, and then we're going to go on and start working on our fruit empanadas.